1, 2, 3, 4. What? Why did I count to 4?
Why did you put a...
Immediately, our fucking everything is just all jimble jambled. Boom, it's magic, and welcome to the BoomitsPodcast. I am Crystal, aka Boom TV, aka fucking whatever shit post you know me as best. And today I am joined by my two friends, Boop and Bip, who I will let introduce themselves to you guys. Whichever one of you wants to start.
Will, you start.
All right, my name is William. I am an undergraduate student here in Canada, and yeah, I'm hoping to just have some good conversations and some good times.
Fuck yeah.
I'm Andrew. Don't really do much, honestly. Kind of just make music every now and then. That's pretty much it. I'm also here for good conversation, good topic.
Awesome. And so am I. Anyway, your guys' introductions are crap because you're self-conscious and you don't make yourself seem like you're nearly as cool as you are. So let me tell you, this guy, or wherever I put him on the screen, Andrew makes amazing music and he has a lot of very insightful opinions. And Will actually paints and does a bunch of other cool stuff and is really into a bunch of big brain philosophy and whatnot. So there you go.
When I'm not knee deep in school, I do enjoy to work with quite a bit of murals and stuff. Check me out online at halfemptywaterbottle.com once it's up after I'm done school.
Booyah. And where do they find your music, Andrew?
19 Perillo. You can find it on Spotify or really anything that you want to look it up on.
Booyah. And the spelling should be on the screen for any of you watching.
Anyways. There's a minus in front of it, by the way. I didn't tell you that before.
Wait, it has a minus?
It has a minus before the 19, so it's minus 19 Perillo.
Okay.
Good to know.
Sure we can figure that out. I'll have it properly on the screen. Nobody panic unless panicking is something that you're into. I mean, I'm sure someone likes it. Like, you know, it's very exciting.
People in those Godzilla movies.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's people that actually have, like, a thing for panicking.
You mean like a
Godzilla
fetish?
Movies? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like a fetish for
everything, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, it is cute if someone panics. Is that controversial? Seeing someone in like a frazzled state of mind, you know what I mean? It's kind of cute.
Yeah, I guess. Like,
so maybe it would be more
clumsy? Like question mark.
I don't know. Vulnerability, yeah, maybe. It could be something.
It could be like
an
extension of that. Yeah, it's like every fetish starts from like a very basic little building block of like something that you're into, like weird smells or weird touches or weird feelings, or like you like being uncomfortable or you like being confident, and that kind of leads into like so many different areas. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into the areas that goes into.
I honestly kind of want to now. I mean,
okay. Well, let's start with Resident Evil 8 Island. Because I am not joking, guys. They literally introduced a, was it 4-woman zombie harem? Zombie harem in the new Resident Evil game. And you're goddamn right, there's a lot of fetishes in play. A zombie harem. Have you guys not seen anything?
I actually
on this?
Have not, no.
Oh my goodness, I get to introduce you guys. Okay, so they recently came up with some promotional material for the new Resident Evil game, Resident Evil 8 Island. And everyone on the internet is freaking out because this main villain lady that they showed has like F-cup boobs and is like always staring down at you. And Resident Evil has recently gone to VR, so of course, like a lot of people are, you know, pretty into getting murdered by this evil zombie lady. I'm trying to see if I can find a good picture to show you guys, but I'm seeing a lot of memes of people going like, them running away from the zombie lady. Oh no! Don't eat my flesh and kill me. You know, falling down intentionally. The lot of it.
Yeah, I think there's definitely aspects of games that have become hypersexualized and always kind of were, even from their origins. I mean, if you look at Tomb Raider and stuff, and my girlfriend has mentioned this a couple times where she finds it kind of as a barrier sometimes at getting into video games when she sees it, female characters being hypersexualized. And I think, as much as there is those, examples that you can bring up, there's also other examples like Legend of Zelda Cameo, where you have a very strong female protagonist who's not really relying on her sexuality to advance herself in the world.
Yeah, which is way more empowering and like relatable for like your average female, than just this over-sexualized hubbub. And maybe that can lead into a good question here, which is, to what extent should sexuality like be in video games? Like I don't feel personally like it's bad to have hot girls on the screen in general. I feel like that should probably be supported, but at the same time, it's not good if that's it, right? So where's the balance? Where's the balance? Where's the line? Once we're getting into literal zombie harems.
I'd say as long as it doesn't impact the story in any way or impact anything, it's fine. But if it starts actually dipping into a point where it's problematic and it's taking away from the story, then you shouldn't have it.
So, for example, if your immersion in a horror game were absolutely ruined because the main female antagonist is just too hot, is that too far? Should she be a little bit uglier, or...
I mean, if it's ruining your immersion, I feel like that's kind of on you as the player, but maybe?
Maybe. I get what that means, like, on you as the player, because some people obviously wouldn't care, and, they're still gonna, like the game and play the game, and their immersion's not gonna be ruined. But then some people, we all know, don't show your shoulders in class. Some guys can't keep it in. Obviously joking. I think the shoulder thing is bullshit, but... It's like, then, okay, maybe like 5% of people it's ruined for, right?
Yeah, I think it comes from your motive in trying to, like, why are you trying to include the sexuality, right? Like, definitely there's the argument that, like, sex sells, but then there's other places where, sex kind of meets with art, right? And then when those two things start to coalesce, and then you're trying to take that out of a video game to, let's say, censor it or something like that, maybe then it's actually a part of the game more than it's a part of, let's say, trying to just make sex sell. So I think your motive has a lot to do with it.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, two games recently that have like taken that like sexuality sells would definitely be like, first, the new Resident Evil, obviously. But second of all, kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum where it's less hot, but trying harder to be way more hot would be like Cyberpunk. Holy crap, that game, they were like advertising like, boom, titties, boom, cyber, butt shit, whatever. There's gonna be like girls, all this stuff. You get into the game, there's like 2 NPCs that like you have sex with. They just like, it's like a close-up of their face and they're just breathing heavily. And then there's one stripper in the whole game. She's just in like some random club, just dancing on a pole forever. You can't interact with her in any way. And like, I'm pretty sure they sold the game as like it's going to be sexual, so that's like clickbait.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly
places in Cyberpunk that you can go for like things like that. So I wouldn't say that it was sold or like a false statement.
Okay. You don't think that was like their main?
Played it, but I mean, with the way that they advertised it, I'd say maybe it was a little misleading, but. There's a whole bunch of things on Cyberpunk like that. Like, how many lawsuits have they got at this point?
Well,
I mean, hey, in defense of CD Projekt Red, like they did do a formal apology, and I don't think every decision is up to maybe, let's say, the whole company. Like the executives definitely played a part in the way they distribute it. They didn't give out the console keys early, which I mean, like, that tells you something. They knew something was wrong.
Yeah, not sending out review copies is never a good sign.
Yeah, like, they're not sending out review keys. I mean, that early, and like that's when you have access to it. It definitely lets you know that like something was a little fishy behind the scenes. But I mean, you can't blame the whole company, and they've tried to do their part to, I think, get it up to standards. But I also think they did a kind of a bad move by trying to include it on older consoles. I don't know why they did that in the first place. Like, when newer games came out back in the day when I was younger, you didn't expect to play it on your fucking original Xbox, No. Like,
but like I think it was like they were in a good place maybe in their heart, but they just fucked it up. But anyway, back to sexualization. I agree with what you guys are saying. about it not really being their fault and there being a lot of like moving pieces, right? And that kind of moves me to like a similar subject, but like slightly different, which is like Western sexualization in media versus like Eastern sexualization in media. Like if Cyberpunk were made by a Japanese company, it would be a lot more sexual, period, and probably still be the same rating. Because Cyberpunk is rated, what, T or M? Like they could, and they do like include a lot of that stuff, right? But then they hold back, like they only include like most of the nudity in the main storyline and like pull back everywhere else. It just kind of gets me to like, kind of like how on TV they can only swear like once a minute. I feel like in Western culture, you can only show like one nipple every like hour. Is there something like that for games? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, only one fuck every so often.
Yeah,
sorry for younger
maximum
audiences.
of 2 strippers.
Oh no, and
so
I do love that.
Who
I do love that
these
concept.
Things? Yeah.
People in arbitrary rooms.
It's a definite gap, definitely. Like, some places are not afraid of it, and some places are terrified of it. Just sexuality, broad term. I wish I lived somewhere where people were a little bit less prude about it. I can't even say the word cunt in Canada without getting, like, crucified socially sometimes.
Where is it that's really bad? It's Australia, right? They censor everything, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
They have different things that they censor. They definitely do. But I would say that, and I've kind of looked into this personally. I've tried to figure out like where does a lot of sexual repression come from, and a lot of it, I would say, actually is tied to sometimes culture and a lot of times religion, and the way those two overlap can be like incredibly like introspective, but like, or sorry, complex. But yeah, like I truly believe that you can't really have sexual repression without religious sexual repression.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, Japan, very sexually expressive, but I'd also say very sexually repressed, weirdly. Do you feel like that's mostly due to religion? That they're, like, sexually repressed?
More culture.
Definitely. Okay.
Yeah. And see, I don't think it's just one or the other. I think religion and culture definitely have kind of a transient relationship where they definitely overlap. And so saying one thing is just culture or one thing is just religion, just basically, you've never met a Jew.
I
think I have met a Jew.
No, but I meant it as like, sorry. The idea, is Judaism a culture or a religion or a race? And it's like, you can't answer that question. And it's like, because these things have different meanings to different people all the time.
Yeah. And
they have overlap and they have like, so.
I get that. You kind of caught me off guard. That seemed very accusatory.
No.
You have never met a Jew.
maybe met a Jew before. I just kind of think like, no, we never thought critically about what that meant.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Which is kind of like feeding into, I've heard like humans have a very tribal mentality and you can only like group, what is it, like 500 different like sects of people, which kind of turns into this thing like, there's gamers and there's like people who live in small villages and there's like city folk and there's like this. And that's your worldview, basically.
There's so many different categories that people try to fit themselves into.
Definitely.
I think it's an important way of like, trying to come to terms with who you are and who you're not.
Yeah. But also, don't group yourself into random groups when you are your own person, like use them as suggestions, not as like bolded lines, obviously.
I'm really not a fan of like categorization. Like I don't know why people have to strive so hard to be in a category of people. Like just be yourself. That's always the way I've thought of it. Why do you have to be in a category?
Seriously. If anything, labels just take away from like the beauty that like led you to those choices. I think.
Yeah.
Practicality of understanding. Makes it easier, makes social interactions a lot quicker. Being able to just put someone in a simple box and be like, this is what you are, and this is how I'm going to treat you. And then being able to move forward, not actually having to treat them as a complex individual.
That's true.
Diving into them,
Yep. So it's a way of basically saving time and being more efficient with your interactions sometimes. And so I understand why people do it.
Yeah. It would be very efficient to not have to think about what other people think about. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, we do that plenty, right? Like, even if passing a stranger, it's not like you're going to be like, hey, what is your life story?
Well, I mean, anxiety is one thing.
Just don't like silence between you and the person you're on a plane with.
Mm-hmm. You just silently judge them for the entire, like, 10-hour ride as you're like, oh, you're reading that? Like, oh my god, you're eating that? Like, oh my god, do you shower? Who doesn't shower? Like, do your hair, do something. Why'd you bring your kid on the plane? Jesus.
I always get jealous at the meal. Like, I'm always like, oh shit, I should have ordered that.
Or if you're in, like, visual range of first class.
Oh,
just have
that's
to
not
watch
even
them get all
fair.
the cool stuff. Tragedy.
The best is those
But I
buffets before you get on the plane.
Mm-hmm. I sent you guys a picture of the Resident Evil harem, by the way.
Yeah,
just in case you were wondering, I am dead serious. This is a thing. not to get too carried away with it, but wow, I don't even know. Anyway, I mean, anime did it first. To be fair, there was like an idol show where like the entire like K-pop band was a bunch of zombies, zombie waifus or something.
Oh my god, I'm trying to remember the name.
Where are we as a society? Can we get some Joker memes?
I don't know. I don't think you can blame us for kind of where we're going as society. We have such like an innate sexual desire as a part of our species, and yet this like huge shameful aspect of our like cognitive sort of social awareness where we're like, no, you're not allowed to express it because
X. Yeah, well, there's a few arguments, like obviously kids is one big one. Sexuality can't be everywhere because there are kids on the planet that we don't want involved with those things, or like that's up to the parents, not up to society, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's so many different opinions and approaches to that sort of thing, right? Where it's like, well, how do you have healthy discussions with your kids about sexuality, and what do you want them to witness? And it's like, do you want them to be exposed to art, or like, are breasts okay, are breasts not okay? And it's like, there are so many of these lines. Like in Europe, breasts seemingly are okay, but then here in North America, they seem to be very like controversial, and those are sexualized. And it's like, so what do you sexualize and what you don't sexualize oftentimes is also not consistent between cultures.
No, and it's changing like every day. Like body pillows, those were like a big thing in Japan for a long time. Everyone here thought they were fucking weird. Why are you cuddling a pillow? Get a whammon. Hello, go rent a whammon. What are you doing?
What is a whammon? I'm sorry.
A girl, a female human.
Oh.
It's
it's like okay.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I wasn't familiar
That's fair.
with
It's
the
not a word.
terminology.
It's not a word. It's not a word. My brain is just kind of deep fried. You know, I've been working in the kitchen for a long time. Sometimes you just got to dunk your whole head in there. We have women, and now in North American culture, Western culture, like people are buying body pillows. Like I was watching an esports interview the other day where they were literally just talking about their favorite body pillows. It's not 100,000 views. Chilling.
I'm down for the body pillows.
I don't think I've ever actually cuddled a body pillow though.
I had one
like
as a
3,
kid.
and they're all behind my head.
Wait, you have 3 body pillows?
Hell yeah.
But you've never cuddled them?
No.
It's a little sus, but okay. I had a body pillow as a kid.
That was why they were sold. I just thought they were big pillows.
Yeah, I'm like, I rolled around a lot, so I just liked that I always had pillow.
Yeah. I mean, I've done the same thing with multiple pillows, like one here and then like one between the arms, one between the legs. It's just a very comfortable position, honestly. I had a dolphin body pillow as a kid, too. That's what I was going to say earlier. It wasn't a waifu, exactly, but I mean, dolphins... There's things to be said about dolphins and sexualization.
Yeah, dolphins aren't great.
Dolphins are fucked up.
Yeah.
I would not trust a dolphin with my kids. Oh my god.
I think they are the only other mammal that can actually feel pleasure from sex.
Wasn't that elephants? No.
No, I believe
No,
it's
it's
dolphins. I
dolphins.
believe it's dolphins. They're the only
Yeah.
other
They're
mammal
the
that
only ones that do
masturbates as
it.
well.
They're the only ones that have sex socially, I think,
Oh.
instead of for like purpose.
No, I
Ooh.
believe monkeys had sex socially.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe there were some social interactions that happened with monkeys that were still just basically not for reproduction, but for like dominance factors.
Interesting. I
Yeah,
could
but
see
then
that.
dolphins were the one that's like are recorded masturbating
How?
Jesus.
on coral.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
On another similarly weird note, I can't unsee this. I'm sorry, I looked up elephant sex. I'll admit it. There's an article, How to Sex African Elephants. Who writes these things? Who? Why?
Probably a
You
biologist.
need that information.
Yeah.
Dedicated his entire life.
A good 3 years of it, probably. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't have to dedicate that much. You could do it as a master's program.
Yeah, he would
Studying
be
elephant penises as
master.
a master's program.
Can you imagine waking up in cold sweats in the middle of the night, realizing you haven't finished your last page of elephants?
It's like, oh my god, if you just put your finger perpendicular to its butthole. Like...
I understand now.
Yeah, I get
Third
it.
eye.
My girlfriend's an ecologist, so I get the weirdest things in the middle of the night about bugs, and it's like, oh, did you know about this?
Yeah.
Or like, I hadn't thought about that, and it's like, yeah, no, that's literally all they think about.
Yeah, so as much as we're joking, in all seriousness, the likelihood of a midnight elephant orgasm epiphany is pretty high.
That's true.
Will, your camera
Always
just
is.
froze on the most perfect fucking face.
Is it that bad, eh?
Restart your camera. That face
Is my camera frozen
sums
still?
up this entire episode so far. Yeah, just turn it off, turn it on again. Should be fine.
Okay, we'll try again.
God,
There we
that
go.
was beautiful. Hi, Will. Welcome back. You were on like a like a whelp.
Well, I'm glad we all got
Oh,
an
yeah.
enjoyment out of that.
I'm sorry, but that was
Yeah,
perfect.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful. The comedic timing was impeccable. Anyways.
All right, so I did want to bring up the idea, and just in case we come across this next time we're speaking, which is the idea between determinism and free will. And I wanted to get both of your opinions on this kind of topic.
Okay.
So have you
Well,
heard
what
of
do
the
you mean?
discussion between it?
I've heard of it, but why not explain a little bit into it?
Yeah,
definitely
plus our
will, yeah, just for
viewers,
the
too,
audience.
probably
Yeah.
have no idea. I have like a decent understanding, but I'd love for you to dive into it.
All right, so I think I'll just start off by defining free will. So free will is the most commonly defined as the idea that in a given circumstance, you could have made a different choice. And this is the idea that, and determinism being the idea that choice is more of a mental fabrication. It's a mental illusion that our minds project, but not something we actually possess. And so this has been a very big and controversial topic in psychology and in neuroscience, and even going into law, because it would mean that people do not choose their decisions, which is a crazy idea to try to like wrap your head around.
Definitely.
But it stems from the idea that like, why do you think you choose what you choose, and how could you justify it as more than just a feeling?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
like,
mean-
if either of you have an opinion on that.
Yeah,
I
no.
mean,
You go first, Andrew. I
I'd
got a lot to
say-
say. I'm sorry, I'm like
I'd say
exploding.
honestly, you really like, in my opinion, you really don't have a choice in what you do, because everything stems down to your needs, what your body wants, what your brain makes you think. Like, for example, if you're low on iron, you'll start like chewing ice. You didn't choose to do that. That's just your body saying, "Hey, I'm low on this, do it." So, I think it's burnt bread too. If you start liking burnt bread, you're low on iron. But that's not like you making that choice. that's your brain telling you to do something,
Hmm.
to help something. And I feel like everything you do is just on a base instinct or subconscious. You don't really have a choice on what you do. Like if you need to go to the bathroom, you can't just say, "Yeah, no." Like that's not something you have a choice in.
But people do all the time. People have died from just like sitting there with like a full bladder. And even though their brain told them to go do something, they didn't. Because that was hypothetically, at least, their choice. You know? And people have willingly thrown themselves into danger for no reason. Really. Like, just like, I want to do it. People will walk, like, into a volcano and just die. You can't
But
tell me
wouldn't
that's
that be
their brain telling
curiosity?
them.
I don't feel like that would be you choosing. That would be you wanting
Mhm.
to know a feeling or understand something. I don't know if that would be a choice. That would just be more curiosity.
Okay.
I
So
think
you're.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, like, that curiosity is there, but people can have that thought, that curiosity, and not do it. But people can also have that curiosity and do it. So,
Yeah.
what would be the main difference? Like, why is that
Between the
not a
two.
choice?
Their
Like, could one
hierarchy of
person not do
reasoning.
both?
No, exactly. So it's this idea in determinism where you have a
Mm,
hierarchy of reasons. And so if you want to, let's say, have a hierarchy of one individual, let's say, goes to the gym, right?
mm,
They avoid fast foods. They go to the gym constantly because they have this hierarchy of reasons that basically says, as much as I really, really want to stay on the couch and binge watch this new season of my favorite show and eat like McDonald's and shit like that, they have this other thing that's above their hierarchy. It basically says, no, I have to like maintain my physical body for whatever reasons that hierarchy is attached to. But because that reason is higher than the reason to eat junk food, they systematically will always work out. Like conversely, if you have another person when that hierarchy is switched, and let's say sitting on the couch is more valuable to them than actually working out or long-term physical health, then they will consistently make actions in regards to their hierarchy. And the question is, do you choose your hierarchy?
yes, that's what I was gonna say. Like, people's hierarchies change, like, all the time in that realm, right? Do you not
The,
choose your
I think
ideology?
I think hierarchies definitely do change, and
Mm,
they definitely change over time, and you can show that. I think the question becomes, are you choosing this change? In the
mm-hmm.
same way that, like, if you're presented with new information that you incorporate into your understanding of the world, can you, let's say, discount that information? Once your hierarchy has been changed by, let's say, adding new information about the way health works or about the way your physical health is at the current moment and what you have to do for the future to even maintain your own lifestyle,
Mm.
once you're aware of this information and that shifts your hierarchy, can you choose to shift it back? Or are these things happening? Is this shift happening in ways that maybe isn't in our control?
Yeah.
And then the idea becomes, if it's not in our control, then you can't blame someone for their hierarchy, and their hierarchy reflects how they act. If
Well,
their hierarchy is in their control, then you can blame them.
yeah, I want to say at least to some extent, there has to be like a layer of willpower there because people learn things all the time that should change their hierarchy and they willingly are just like, nah, they push it down, bottle up feelings, whatever, actively make that choice to ignore the information and
Hmm.
continue living as before. And even though they might know it and eventually they probably will change or like, with like 10 years, they'll probably like grow and be like, oh, why was I being so stupid? They still actively like chose to neglect information. Unless you think there's
A
an
lot of the
instinct in human bodies that just does that.
Yes,
in a,
yes.
in a
That's
lot
Wow.
of
fair.
cases like that.
You like hit it on
In a
the
lot of
head. You
cases
hit it
like
on the
that,
head, Crystal.
though.
I'm really impressed. Go ahead,
Well,
Andrew.
okay.
In a lot of cases like that, I find like it's just social needs or subconscious needs that'll keep you from doing something, right?
Mhm.
So say like you want to do it, but like let's use depression as an example.
Okay.
Say you want to socialize, but your depression keeps you from doing that. You want to do it, but you are being held back by, say, a mental need, a social need, whatever the case may be.
Or a lack of dopamine in your current or a lack of dopamine,
Exactly.
serotonin, so a lack of neurotransmitters, which you necessarily aren't responsible for.
Exactly. So say like you want somebody to, you know, always be close to you. You want someone to someone to rely on, someone to always want to be there for you. But you don't want to go out and find that because you're depressed because you don't have that. Right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you don't in a way have any choice on what you do.
But then what changes? If you're sitting in bed depressed doing nothing for like a long period of time, what changes when, like, normally you would think they make the choice, like, I'm not going to be depressed anymore, I'm done with this, step forward. If they're not making a choice,
I
what is
would
that?
say no, and this is just coming from like the field of behavior modification. No behavior, whether overt or covert, whether like expressed outwardly or just had privately, happens without an antecedent.
What?
Antecedent. So basically, what caused it.
Okay, yeah.
So we don't as physical beings in physical reality don't exist in a vacuum, and so anytime we are going to, let's say, change our behavior or do something different or decide to do something different, it's because something external caused it. And therefore, if you follow causality, like you were influenced by your external stimuli. Now, your reaction to it, some people say you had a choice to how you reacted. Some people say you don't have a choice to how you react. But like, definitely, if someone says like, "Oh, I turned my life around," it wasn't just them. It was something that, enabled them to turn their life around.
Yeah. You're thinking even if nothing changed that day, it might have been like a long-term kind of.
Yep, you have like antecedents can happen like very, very far into the future or like almost immediately. The most powerful ones happen immediately, but who knows how long the antecedent could have been. But I mean, that also brings up the idea of like the marshmallow test, where it's
marshmallows.
Yeah, the marshmallow test. So what they would do is they would take 5-year-old kids and they'd put them in a room and they'd tell them that, okay, I have a marshmallow here on this plate and I'm going to leave the room. And when I come back, if you have not eaten the marshmallow, I will give you 2 marshmallows. Right? And so then the testers would leave the room. Some of the kids would eat the marshmallows and some of the kids wouldn't. They would go on to test these kids later in life and test them on basic things about self-control and self-persistence. And they found that the kids who resisted the marshmallows oftentimes did better later in life. They had better jobs, they had better education, they had a better like wealth standing or something like that. So the idea was developed that they have a mechanism in their psychology that allows them to think of themselves in the future that the other kids do not have.
Yeah.
And so like yeah.
I want to say the kids who took the marshmallow, while they may have not made a retirement plan, they may not have like made a down payment on a house early in their lives, they probably got really fucked up on a lot of cool parties.
No, it's true. It's just being able to identify with yourself in the future. Yeah. Like they can do brain scans on these different kids, and they found out that the ones who took the marshmallows ended up basically, when they asked them to think about someone or think of themselves in the future, the area that is correlated to yourself lit up in those individuals. But when they asked the individuals who ate the marshmallow to basically think of themselves in the future, the part of the brain that lights up for someone else lit up. And so it's this concept that they don't identify with themselves in the future. So the future selves might have a reward, but that's not them. So who cares?
Yeah, that's future me's problem, right?
Exactly.
A lot of people live by that.
I know, but this is a neurological difference that you can show in these kids and a psychological difference. And then this ends up becoming this idea that if this is what's influencing kids in the background, can you really blame them for not trying to, plan stuff for the future? Definitely. When they have a psychological disposition not to?
Whoa. Well, I don't have the answers, that's for sure. I don't know if any of us do, but I mean, it's fascinating to think about, isn't it? Because every day we go through our lives, you think you make so many choices. What should I wear today? What should I do this? What should I do that? And all the time you're trying to like train yourself to make better choices. But there's an argument that was never your choice. Like a whole rabbit hole of we are just basically monkeys. That wasn't my fault. My brain made me do it. Jesus.
I mean, a way that I like to always like think of people, and it might, be kind of demeaning to some, but I always just think of people as like really young kids. Everything they do is just off of a base need, and that's the way I consider everyone. Because it's a lot easier to predict what somebody's going to do if you think of them as just like a kid.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've
Oh my
always
God.
had that idea.
That ties right into what we were talking about earlier when Will was saying putting people in boxes so you don't have to think about what they're thinking about. It's very efficient. Cuts down on like extra thoughts, right? Kind of the same thing. You're like simplifying other people's brains kind of for the same like end.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't like tell you you're an asshole because of that. I'd probably just say that sounds pretty smart. And I mean, you're probably right.
Yeah, sounds like
Yeah.
a way to save time and explaining things.
Definitely. Also, you're a narrow-minded fuckface, but that's fine.
It's
We all are.
It's way too accurate to be narrow-minded, though. Try it, actually.
Wait, it's accurate to be narrow-minded?
No,
it's
he's saying it's accurate. Like people are like children.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong because you're probably not. I know a lot of 60-year-old children. There's like something definitely within us that we cannot change, no matter how hard we try. Whether it's determinism or whether it's free will, maybe that's open to discussion. Maybe someday science will make it so it's not. But I don't think we're quite there yet. You know, there's arguments like one part of the brain lighting up or the other, but there could also just as easily be an argument that, maybe the signal went up and they made the choice to send it to one part of their brain. And then, it just became a habit from there. So maybe that was the breaking point. That was where they made the choice. Like, it's just hard to prove.
I'll get into the neuroscience aspect of it next time.
Okay. Join us next week for the sequel.
Yeah.
Or actually, 2 weeks from now. We should be posting podcasts bi-weekly. I don't mean to lie to your guys' faces. It's not weekly.
Daily, actually.
Yeah. Every second
Hourly.
Saturday.
Or by the time you're done with this one, there'll be a new one.
Yeah. Or your money back. All dollars of it.
But speaking of choices we make, I want to talk about a choice.
Okay.
Something near and dear to my heart. All right, that comes off really wrong, actually.
I think I might know what
I
he's
take that back.
about.
Anyway, incest.
Damn it.
Not near and dear to my heart at all. Not near and dear to any of my organs, in fact.
Well,
I have a choice
hope
to
not.
not do it. Okay, I'm digging a hole.
You do have a brother, right?
I live with my brother, yes. We don't talk to each other. It's fine. We're good.
Silence is a kink. I read that somewhere.
Anyway.
What do you mean incest? What are you talking about?
I have a stance not for it, I guess, but defending it in a way. So I want to ask both of you, what do you think is wrong with it?
Will, you can go
Removing
first
morals.
if you want.
Morals?
Removing morals. Okay.
Removing morals.
Removing morals. Oh, yeah.
What is wrong with incest?
Well, you have to understand. The way I define morals is how I define morals or moral standing is how someone defines what is right or wrong. And so your basis of morals is, I think, kind of what you're talking about here. So I'm like, if I'm not allowed to talk about morals, I'm like, I don't know how I'm able to talk about what's right, or how I would go about defining what's right and what's wrong.
True.
So I could
you
say
are
what's
kind
my
of
basis.
asking us our opinions and then saying, but don't use your opinions.
Yeah, like I could say
Your
someone has a
personal
basis
opinion,
sometimes of
yeah.
morals from like authority,
But-
right? So they might say like their God gives them the authority for their morals, or someone might say, well, no, my morals are based on like common well-being or something like that. So what are you basically
I'm
asking?
saying
Like,
just logically, what is wrong, or logically, what is the issue with it? Let's say that.
Okay. Yeah, I think he's trying to like remove like kind of like the humanitarian aspect.
I'm trying to
like,
remove your emotional.
oh, emotion. Yeah, I could
Yeah,
I could definitely
okay.
get behind that. All right, so like stripping emotion out of it, I would say I'd be worried about the genetic compilement the compilement of genetic abnormalities that accumulate when you basically have such a small pool of individuals.
Yeah,
So
look at
like,
dogs.
yeah, dogs are a great example, but also like you can even look at like humans where you have a number of genetic abnormalities that are increased in risk when certain individuals of the same genetic component, even when they're not in the same necessarily family, have an increased risk. I think there's a Jewish community here in Canada that anytime they marry or are planning on having a kid with another member of that community, even though the community is like doesn't have to necessarily be incestuous in a relationship, it could be
Mhm.
far removed enough, but there's still such a close related genetic component, and they have a genetic issue that can arise when people who are too similar breed, and then the child basically has a genetic uh, abnormality. So that's my
Damn.
only basically thing against it is like, yeah, genetic compilement that can just get worse and worse, or you're
Okay.
increasing your odds for something like that.
And Crystal, what are your thoughts on
Well, he kind of took my reasoning and put it in a much more well-worded manner, but in general,
it?
yeah, like, if the same family is breeding, look at the royal family. They were living to like 20, coughing up blood, like they were fucked in the head mentally, like killing each other and killing their servants. All of this just because of, yeah, like genetic compilement from like, just a few things go wrong, and then 100 years down the line, suddenly, killing people doesn't elicit a physical response, or your knees don't bend. Like,
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened with the Romanovs, where they had inbred so much that their son ended up developing this disease, which we have a name for now, but I'm forgetting it. But it basically means you don't have platelets in your blood, and it means your blood can't clot. So if you get a
damn.
cut, it won't stop bleeding.
I feel like that's the like pretty popular opinion that me and Will have too. I feel like that's what most people would say. So I'm sure you've gotten this argument before.
Yeah, and I was
what's your
curious.
counter?
Yeah,
Why are you still
Alright.
thinking about this?
So I was just gonna ask another question. What if two people don't have kids? What if they make that promise, we will not have children? Socially now, what's the issue?
two consenting adults,
Yes,
none whatsoever, none of my business.
there should be no problem, right? If two
Yeah.
people love each other, don't go around flaunting it and pushing it on other people, and they have no intention to have children, what is the issue with incest?
I don't think you could say one.
Hey, you might think, hey, that's weird. You morally might be like, no, I'm against that. And 100% I agree. But those two people, that's their choice, right? There's no issue with what they're doing if they're both okay with it.
I think
And
too.
it's both making them happier.
It brings up a similar case where it's like if two people know they have a predisposition towards Huntington's disease, but they love each other and they want to really have a kid, are you going to legally tell them they can't have a kid because they might have a like genetic risk for a kid having Huntington's disease?
Yeah, isn't that like euthanasia almost at that point?
Well, you can do genetic screening, and there is that happens in Canada now, but it does bring up a really good point where it's like, so at what point of the genetic risk are you going to say like a parent is liable for? And yeah, it's a really interesting question.
Definitely. And sorry I was distracted there. I was looking up on my other monitor what I thought might have been a counter argument, which is I was trying to find a correlation between STIs and incest. Couldn't find one.
Yeah, it's
I
tough 'cause
thought
even if you
maybe-
have correlation, you don't have causation.
True. I was just looking because I was thinking, right? There has to be like something more to it. I don't know. I mean, I guess you can fuck your brother, then I'll allow it. Just this once.
Don't push that. Do not
No,
push that on me. That's
I
not
think, yeah.
happening. Just...
I'm sorry.
No, but it's the same argument like against like, homosexuality or something like that, where it's like, well, if you really have a problem with two consenting adults doing what they're doing in private, like, where are you getting this authority from?
True. Very entitled.
Exactly.
Yeah, like why is that your business?
But then is it illegal? Like incest, even if you're not having kids? Yeah.
I'm not
Right.
sure. I don't believe so.
Because I'm pretty sure the argument behind it would be if you make it legal to like have sex and not have kids, exactly what you were saying. It's just gonna happen, and then what do you tell the parents? Like, you can't force someone to have.
I don't know if
an
it's just
abortion,
gonna
I don't think.
happen. Wait, hold on. I'm not just saying it's just
Well, I mean,
gonna
like,
happen.
protection fails. Protection fails, though. Like, realistically.
No, but
Like,
I don't know. I don't think kids inherently might have that predisposition. I think
mm.
to my current understanding, I believe it is there's no laws against it here in Canada. Like to
None?
consenting I don't believe so.
Incest isn't illegal in Canada? Is that what you're telling
I
me?
I
Really?
will
I didn't know.
Google it and I will confirm for the viewers next time. But no, I don't believe there's any law against that right now in Canada. But I'm where we are. I know nothing about the states. I know some places in the
It
states
says,
polygamy is legal, so
yeah, it
who
says
knows?
laws vary considerably between jurisdictions and depend on the type of sexual activity and the nature of the family relationship, as well as the sex of the parties. Why would that matter? God fucking damn it, America! Ah,
Yeah,
sexist
America is
propaganda everywhere,
very
dude. God damn
much
it.
more into the states. But yeah, I think no
Yeah.
that you could
I thought
make
I was
a
looking at Canada.
you could make an argument to the
Mm.
Canadian Constitution that would basically say that what would violate your right of freedom of association.
Okay, wait, I found it. In Canada, incest is defined as having a sexual relationship with a sibling, including half-sibling, child, parent, or grandparent, requiring knowledge of the existence of a blood relationship. It is punishable by up to 14 years in prison. And someone who commits incest on an underage person is liable to an extra 5 years.
Oh damn.
Shit.
Yeah. So, sorry, you can't. Sorry, Andrew.
Then there is
Damn
legal
it, I
then
already
there are legal
said it.
reprehensions. Or yeah, legal reprimands against it. Damn.
I
Yeah.
already sent the
But that's just
text,
Canada.
man.
Like, I know in the States, they're definitely more lenient in some places. Like, it's like
Alabama.
definitely more lenient.
Yeah.
Let's just say the least. But
I'm throwing Alabama under the bus.
I still think that like that's a kind of a thin line that I wouldn't want us to go down as a species because we are already weakening, like we're falling apart, we're sitting here all day, short-term memories going, we're like our knees are getting weaker, like all of this shit, like we don't need incest, like
Oh,
the grand
absolutely,
scheme.
I agree. Shit's weird, but
Yeah.
if two people want to do it,
That is up to
go
them,
ahead.
I
Go.
guess. As long as it's legal.
As long
Like-
as you're taking the precautions, go ahead.
I was not aware that
There
it
really
was
should-
yeah, that was the law in Canada.
Boomits Magic does not support incest in Canada.
Only in Canada.
Only in Canada. If you're in the States, fuck it. And by it, you know. Anyways, so we're joking about incest. That's hilarious. I feel great. Why? This is kind of what I wanted to talk about. Another thing. Dark humor, I've never really understood it because I love dark humor. I say dark jokes all the time, and I don't know why, but it really nice. Well, really vibes with my personality. He's drinking apple juice.
100% pure.
No name
It
brand.
really vibes, but like I just don't understand why looking someone in the eyes and just saying we're all going to die alone. Lol. Why is that funny? And that will make some people laugh. Whether or not you laughed, I'm not saying I'm funny. But I'm saying dark humor is. I find it very reassuring when someone tells me that my life has no purpose. Almost, it's like a comforting, like, chill. I don't get it.
That's because you're kind of just consigning yourself to that. It's reassuring because now you take your own personal, like, what's the word, choice out of it. Now it's just a thing that's going to happen.
Okay.
I'm wording that really weird. I feel
No,
like, Will, you could word that better.
Well, I feel like you're saying because it oversimplifies it, right? Kind of.
Yeah, in a way. But it makes it so... I know what I'm trying to say. I just can't say it.
Stops you from overthinking it, maybe. But
Kind of...
I feel...
Will,
I don't know.
Will,
Yeah,
help
Will,
me.
what do you think? Let's turn to the man with the brain.
Will, please.
There's a lot of good, I think, explanations or supposed
Hmm.
hypotheses for why people
Okay, so there's a few.
relate to dark humor. I always like the idea of like Schadenfreude, which is like a German word, and it means to feel pleasure at someone else's pain. But I also
Mhm.
think we can laugh at our own pain sometimes, and this idea of laughing at pain isn't really talked about, maybe necessarily explicitly in North American culture, but it's definitely something that we like to do. And I think it's something that human beings like to do, and I think it's a way of just recognizing each other's shared humanity. And like, yeah, I bet that would have hurt. You can kind of giggle.
Yeah.
Nothing even hurt. We weren't even talking about anything yet. We all laughed just at the idea of another human experiencing pain. Why does that make us feel good? Like, we're social creatures, shouldn't we, like...
Because you weren't the one who
feel
stepped
bad?
on the rake.
Sure.
And that's enough to make you giggle, because there's this idea that humor lies in the accumulation of knowledge. And so you find something humorous when you learn something, and it's like, I found it funny that, like, I learned that if I step there at that with the rake being where it is, it smacks someone in the face, or it would have smacked me in the face. But because that wasn't me, I find it funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, the moment you break down humor into a science, it becomes so much less funny.
Yes, but, like, I'm not just saying why is dark humor funny. I'm saying why, in, like, the big picture, does it make us feel, like, good? Like, when I'm actually sad, a dark joke will make me feel actually happy. And that's not just, like, me... How to say it? Like, it's not just... I can't even with my brain right now.
You're having the same problem I'm having.
Yes!
I can't work around this. I can't describe it.
It's interesting. I don't feel like he answered my question, but I don't know how else to ask it in a way.
Are you feeling like this is like a subjective experience, or are you feeling like this
Maybe.
is...
I mean, it would definitely be subjective. Humor is, like, very subjective, and so would, like, dark humor.
Then it'd be tough to answer a question why you specifically as an individual
yes,
would
that's
find
true,
it funny.
that's true. I understand. Bad question, maybe, but either way, it's interesting to talk about, I think.
I feel like it's a good question because nobody has an answer to.
Yeah.
Maybe that's true.
Humor doesn't have a well understood, I think, base, and I think that's one of its better parts. It's like, yeah, we don't really know where it comes from or where its boundaries are.
That's why it's my favorite form of art, dude. I love comedy. I love, like, joking and smiling. It's so intricate and, like, impossible to, like, really understand, but that's not gonna stop me from trying.
I barely find anything funny, which is kind of sad, but, like, I want to bring something up that's been bugging me. You know, like, the Bernie Sanders mitten meme?
Well, the one where he's sitting in the chair?
Why is that funny? Why is that spreading so much? Well, literally, why is that funny?
Because...
It's the most dry shit. I look at that, I'm like, yo, nobody's laughing. Why is this funny? Why is this being spread around? This is garbage.
I think someone's laughing.
That's the problem. Why? What is funny about it?
He's just waiting, dude. He's just waiting. He's so humble. Well, I mean, like... I feel like it's kind of what Will was saying about dark humor, where there is a large basis in knowledge. I feel like a large part of the reason why that Bernie Sanders meme is really funny is because if you know him, like, he's so, like, humble and down to earth that he's, like, always ready to, like, put in that sacrifice. And, like, he, like, tried so hard but didn't even get put up for, like, president-elect, like, multiple times. So he's just waiting. He's just waiting. He's a nice guy. He's waiting. That's it. You know,
yeah, it feels like you might be waiting indefinitely down in the States.
Dog smiling in the burning house, you know? This is fine. I feel like that's why I find it funny. I think,
yeah, humor is definitely a subjective thing. I haven't even seen the meme, so shows how deprived my feed is.
Don't. There's nothing there.
Do you even meme, bro?
Is it.
Yeah.
Do you like mittens? Yes? Go laugh at that meme. That's what it is. You're not gonna get anything else out of it. I have a burning hatred for that meme for no reason.
Yeah, and I mean, it's making you laugh now, so, like...
It's making me laugh at the amount that I hate that meme. Okay. But the meme itself is not funny. So, by association, I guess it made me laugh, but it's still
So
annoying.
basically, everybody go out, spread some memes, spread the positivity. Even people who hate your meme, respect the message.
That's right.
I don't respect the message. There's no message.
Fuck you, Andrew. Shut up.
I don't respect anything about that meme.
That's fair. That's fair.
But
Oh
yeah,
my
that took
god.
away from dark humor.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with it, but holy shit.
It's all good. I think I mostly said my piece. And like I kind of yeah. It's okay. We can tangent sometimes. This doesn't need to be the most direct like
All right,
laser
well-
beam of concentrated conversation. You know, I do want this
Yeah.
podcast to kind of just be us hanging out sometimes. So,
No, yeah, and it's a good time.
yeah.
All right, but I did want
Don't
to
worry
bring up
about
this
it.
idea of seeing as we're talking about what's trending right now. I read online that 1 in 5 Albertans are very suspicious and are not planning on getting the new COVID-19 vaccination. And I wanted to hear
Yeah.
both of your opinion on kind of
Ooh.
what either of you thought about that.
Yeah. Anybody who doesn't know, we are all located in Alberta, Canada. That's our region. I won't go any more specific than that, but you know,
Sometimes
important
it
information.
is referred to as kind of a more
I call it the Texas
rural.
of Canada.
There you go. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of has a more rural connotation to it.
Blue collar, a little bit more conservative. Obviously, I'm generalizing, but yeah, I feel like there's good reason to be skeptical of
People
the
of
COVID
the
vaccine,
land.
maybe. Well, like from
If
what
you've
I've
seen
read
Burning
about
Saddles, that was a bad reference.
it. Oh, okay, I didn't get it. But anyway, isn't the vaccine not finished?
What do you mean by not finished?
Well, I heard there were a few vaccines with side effects that don't completely cure you of COVID. They just build up your resistance, right?
Yeah, these vaccines are not able to cure anyone. They're able to build up someone's immunity before they're exposed.
Hmm. So as much as I personally trust vaccines and I like love the health, I could definitely see where someone gets a little skeptical, you know, when they're saying it doesn't even cure it. Or like make you immune. Just makes you resistant.
Yeah, yeah. I think there is definitely we live in an age right now where we're surrounded by misinformation,
Mhm.
and like even when you look at like wearing masks and stuff like that, if you Googled the debate on wearing masks and whether or not it's good for you or whether or not like the medical industry agrees with wearing masks, if you Googled it, you damn near think the debate was 50-50.
Yeah, even though it's really not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
it's
objectively, there's really no
yeah.
question.
Oh, my phone Googled something. What
People
was
are
it?
just freaking crazy, honestly.
But yeah,
I think
was,
yeah, we exist in a time of misinformation.
I would strongly agree.
I
And-
heard like a story that somebody was telling me where their brother worked for like calling people for some company to get their vaccine because they were on like the first wave of it. And apparently they called like 40 people, and of the 40, only 6 people actually took the vaccine. And
Wow.
that's insane. Like,
Seriously, literally
But
just like,
honestly-
you know that problem that's stopping you from living your whole life? Here's a solution. No.
but is it a solution though? Because
Well-
how many new strains do we have now? That
Hmm.
vaccine
a couple.
got made before like 3 new strains. Is it even gonna help? Like,
It's been shown to be effective against all 3 new strains.
It is.
That's good.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's like a generalized resistance, and like they
Yeah.
said they had a lot of knowledge going into it because COVID was just an evolution of a virus they were already studying, right?
It's true,
So
yeah,
like
and
we're very
this
lucky,
is
I think.
one of the reasons why this vaccine has been produced so quickly is because if you look at funding for vaccines historically, they have been quite small, globally at least.
Mhm.
But then if you look at COVID, I mean, just in the rate of the statistics on like what people have or countries have invested into producing a vaccine, it's crazy. COVID has been like the number one, and it really does show how many countries are involved in producing a vaccine, how many countries are putting money into producing a vaccine, and like, yeah, there's a reason why
Mhm.
this development time was so short. And that also think that contributes to a lot of fear around a lot of people is, yeah, like Crystal mentioned, where like, yeah, is it done? Is it finished? Are there side
Mhm.
effects yet? Has it been fully tested? And I like, yeah, these are valid questions, and I think there's a lot of misinformation going out to the public. Like the public is not aware that we've been
Definitely.
using this type of vaccination. I think for quite some years, quite a few years now, the RNA modifier vaccine or this type of vaccine. And
Really? I didn't know that.
yeah, it's not a relatively new process. We've used it for a couple other vaccines. We're trying to go away, or lean away from injecting live vaccines like we do with the polio virus into more RNA modifiers that then just have, they basically just change parts of your cellular structure that synthesize proteins and not actually changing your own DNA.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's relatively safe. It's not relatively new, and but there's a lot of pushback because there's a lot of misinformation around it.
Would that kind of vaccine work if someone has like the shittiest immune system ever? Because you said it's like altering their system, right?
It's altering the RNA in their cellular structure, which exists in every cell in their body. So they'd have complete, basically, cellular immunity to it.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, your immune system is not really playing a part in it as much as it's a part of just your cellular processes.
That sounds like there's a lot more science and logical reasoning behind this vaccine than the media would like to say.
There's also a lot more ethical practices than I think the media likes to say too. I mean,
they just like drama
in most industries.
Honestly.
Yeah. And I mean, drama sells. Again.
Yeah, exactly.
Sex sells, drama sells.
Oh, why? So toxic.
Vaccine, there's so many people that just aren't getting it because they're just like, well, even if I do get it, it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna die from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like the thing, oh, someone else will be vaccinated, so that's good enough.
Yeah, and I don't get that because my thought process is, sure, I could get it and I might be fine, 100%, or I could get COVID and I might be fine. I don't need the vaccine, whatever.
I'll be right back. Just give me one moment. Sorry for the absence.
Gotcha, Boo. Well, sorry for that little pause, guys. Will's cat died or something. We're back.
She's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, no cats were harmed in the making of this podcast.
God bless.
Show your cat.
I'm giving her a minute.
Cat or GTFO? Okay. Maybe there will be a cat next episode. Something to look forward to.
So what I was saying was basically how like people, or how if I got it, I wouldn't mind because I would probably survive. I have a pretty high chance of living through it. But I don't know why people don't think of, hey, I might have it and I might be fine, but somebody else could get it and not be fine because of me. Like, if I got it and then I walked past some like old ass person on the street and they got it because of me, they would most likely die.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's, why is nobody thinking, hey, somebody else could be hurt because of my actions? And that's happening so much through COVID. Like, you can see it with everything. There's just groups of people that are just like, oh, whatever. Even if we get it, we're fine. It's like, yeah, sure. But if you get it, you're going to spread it further. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're making it last longer. Like, you're being selfish for no reason.
I mean, agreed. Was that a question or?
That was more.
I agree. Basically, people are assholes.
Yeah, people are assholes. I don't understand why people always do that. And it's not even with just, well, I mean, COVID's been a really good
example,
showcase of it, but it's always been like that, where nobody thinks of the actions outside, like the consequences to their actions, I guess, for everybody around them. And it's kind of sad, honestly. Like, I really don't have many questions about it. It's just honestly sad.
I agree.
I've seen it so much.
It's partially, I think, a part of our culture. I mean, you have a culture that prides itself on individuality, and then like the individual strength or the individual's value, and like how much the individual can provide and how much the individual can get, rather than the community. And
everyone thinks they're the main character.
Yep, it's a part of our culture. It's very prominent, and it's also very apparent when you go to another culture where community is kind of their foundation. You really kind of put it in a mirror with how self-obsessed our culture is.
Definitely. Yeah, you can see like in the way that like the differences in other cultures managing COVID. You can see that active difference about how people do like consider themselves compared to other people. You know, they put like everyone in front of themselves. They wear a mask. They socially distance. But here it's very, entitled. And like you said, people just aren't thinking about the consequences of their actions. They're not thinking about how that'll affect other people. They just put them in a box, and that box is labeled "not my problem."
Yeah.
Yep.
Or,
But I
you know,
think
tying back to what we were talking about before, which is the whole, you know, that's a future me issue.
Mhm.
It's like, yo, what? No, it's
Yeah,
not.
if
It's
that's-
right now. It's
if
a
that's-
problem right now.
Sorry to interrupt you. If that's how much we can dissociate from ourselves, imagine how much we can dissociate from other people. You know, like, yeah, probably a lot of like dehumanizing happens. Like, oh, they're just old people. I've heard that. You know, like old
Yep.
people aren't people, or whatever the argument is.
ageism.
I don't want to be treated like that when I'm old. Do you? I don't think anyone
Oh, they're
does.
old, they'll die anyway, whatever. You know, that kind of garbage. Yeah.
Yeah, it is garbage. It really is.
It is garbage.
Show some respect for the people who literally like built your life, you know?
Well,
I mean, shit, I've
totally.
seen the same thing for like the opposite side of that, where people are just like, oh, they're super young, they've barely lived anyway. It's like, what? Excuse me?
Wait, like when people are
Why?
dying too young?
Well, just like people not like.
I thought he was talking about
It's
job
not as-
opportunities. Where I'm like, no, you're too young.
What?
You don't have enough work experience.
Oh,
Oh. Wait, yeah, what are you talking about, Andrew? This is a good time to clarify.
Yeah.
I'm literally talking about just the opposite of you're too old. It doesn't matter if you die.
Yeah.
Like I've
Kids
heard
who
people
die
be
before.
like,
Yeah.
oh, he's only like 3, whatever. He's barely lived to experience life. It's like, why? Why are you thinking like that?
Yeah. And if there's some way you
And
could have
yeah.
prevented that, like obviously you should, you know?
Yeah, even with, you know, if someone's old, if you can prevent that, do it.
So Andrew, I have a question now that we're bringing up this idea of acting out of self-interest or not. I was really like when I had traveled to Hong Kong back in, I would say this is 2 years ago, so 2019 I was in Hong Kong. And just so you know, it was before the protests, before COVID, so I'm safe. But I was in Hong Kong and I was really surprised by the cultural differences that I saw there, mainly in the idea of how they take care of their parents. And so there's this really prominent thing in the culture, which I was kind of made aware of, which is they feel obligated to basically give a allowance to their parents, both like either combined or just one to either, the father and mother. And these are the kids who like work, you know, everyday jobs and are living in Hong Kong, where like they have one of the highest living costs in the entire world, you know, compared to their like what they make. And
Mhm.
then their parents are basically asking for quite a bit of money, and like I was told how much she was giving her, or the girl I was speaking to, how much she was giving her father just so he could go spend it at the horse races, which I had gone to, by the way. Horse races in Hong Kong are amazing if you have a chance.
Never been,
But-
but sounds good.
I would recommend, yeah, pay a little extra, go into the VIP booths. Always ask for VIP when you're in Asian countries.
Mhm.
Just ask the security guard how much for VIP. Anyway, so I was blown away just by how insistent she was on having to pay her father this money that she knew he was just going to basically throw away gambling. And I'm wondering, like, she felt obligated by her society to kind of give not in self-interest, but in the opposite of self-interest. And it was actually like hurting her consistently. And so
But she
here I
still did
was
it.
as oh, she's totally did, yeah. And here I was as a Westerner, like coming in and kind of questioning this behavior, and I'm kind of like, shouldn't you be more self-interested? Like, isn't that your money? Like, didn't your
Mhm.
parents, you know, have you for your sake and not so they could have like something back to them? But they're like, no, like they literally
Maybe
had
not.
kids just to like, you know, like a part of having kids in
retirement
their
plan.
mind was exactly someone
Yeah.
to take care of them when they got older. And so this
I
was this
mean-
whole sort of cultural shock in my head where I'm thinking like, damn, it really again showed how like self-interested I was, where I'm trying to advocate for like, no, you shouldn't be like buying this stuff for your parents, where I had no
Mhm.
place in like, you know, even saying the sort.
Definitely.
Yeah. But the way I'm thinking about that, it's like, isn't it self-interest to continue to ask your kid to do that? Like, you're literally ruining your child's life at that point if they can't support it. Why are you doing that? That is kind of you being selfish at that point. You should just be like, hey, stop. You don't have to do this.
Well,
Like,
but parents
I mean,
do
I wasn't
put a
even gonna
lot of
bring up
time and
that
money
point,
in
but-
there. Like,
But yeah, that was her thing too. Yeah, exactly. Like the amount they had invested when they were younger, when they could. They had
Yeah.
the time and they had the money when they could, and now that they're older and they can't, now they need the help.
Exactly. And I'm not from Hong Kong, obviously. Spoiler alert. But my parents still kind of, they want that. My mom bugs me all the time, like what happens when me and dad are too old to work? Like, what if this, what if that? And she wants me to like have a plan to like support them. And I work really hard to like make sure that I can. Um, Maybe that's not like a cultural thing here, but like I feel like pretty heavily indebted to my parents. They had my sister and I when they were like way too young to have kids, and they were working at like 7-Eleven, and my dad was a mall cop part-time, or like sometimes working at a pizzeria. And now they're like so like freaking successful, they don't even need my help. Like their retirement's set, but I still want to like give back to them. I feel like there's something like very like human about that, like feeling like thankful for these people who put so much time and money into you. I feel like that's worth a little bit of sacrifice um from me.
Yeah, but it might be worth sacrifice, and like personally I'd feel like obligated to do it, right? Like they literally cared for me my whole life. Like shit, I should help. I should give back, right? Definitely. I understand that, but I feel like from the parents' side, if they see that that kind of thing is destroying their child's life, shouldn't you let go a little bit? Like,
yeah,
that's at that point just being an asshole. That's
I agree.
Watching, because if you spent all of your time and money raising your kid, and now your kid is getting destroyed trying to help you, shouldn't you be like, yo, there's an issue here?
Yeah.
I wish it was so simple in most circumstances. I mean, what I think both of you are kind of describing is like these situations where you can kind of make an assessment and be like, oh, this is what you should do. But in I think most real life situations, it's like far more complex, and
Gray
these
area.
ideas about like self-interest and then family guilt and then like obligation and there's so much overlap where trying to navigate it, and then like let's say like a change happens where someone's health deteriorates in the future, or someone gets into like a physical accident, something like that, and their ability to care for themselves decreases, and then what obligation do you feel like you have to your parents, right? And it's like I think, yeah, human beings could be incredibly self-interested, and I think there's also a component of taking care of your parents that is self-interested. Like you want your parents to be around sometimes longer than maybe they want to be around.
Yeah. Just so you
And I
can
know,
feel better
yeah.
seeing your parents be happy.
Yeah, I know
Happy
my
by
my
proxy kind of thing.
my great grandmother kind of felt that way, where
Vicariously.
she wanted to go, and then it was my grandmother who wanted to keep her around quite a bit longer, and then was really adamant, even when she was kind of into the area of like kind of dementia and stuff. When I was like, you know, we wanted to keep her around for a little bit longer, and I think eventually everyone kind of came to an agreement. But there's not easy areas with this sort of stuff,
No.
and
I mean, when you're
and
literally talking about your parents' like lives, basically, or your entire life
and your
savings.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your life, and like what you're planning on doing for the last 20 years of your life. You don't want to have to, or do you want to have to take care of your parents? And it's like
Yeah.
that's
Who has that figured out? No one. One guy.
yeah.
He gets it.
As much as I think we are self-interested, I think there's also a part of self-interest because we're social animals that we're self-interested in our social relationships. If that makes sense.
Being nice. What an asshole.
Yeah. But I feel like a lot of that stuff can just get tied back to like obligation, right? Like you were saying. A lot of that's the same deal. And where you were saying like, somebody will keep somebody alive in their life even though that person wants to go, right? Like why should you prioritize your relationship with that person over what they want? Like if they want to die, why are you keeping them alive? You're literally torturing them at that point. That is
You might have
what
an
I
ethical
mean.
obligation as a doctor.
As a doctor?
Yeah, because you're not
Maybe.
allowed to do
Yeah.
undue harm.
That's true.
Yeah. That's
But I think he's
kind of
referring
like,
more to
that's
like
not really
if
like
it's in
what
the
I'm
hand of
talking
like
about,
a
though.
yeah, like if
I'm saying like so their family and they're like, hey, please end this. And then their family's like, love you, bro. Gonna keep you alive.
Which happens all the time, honestly.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Someone made a choice for their life. Why are you going against it for your own gain?
Yeah.
I think that these choices though are like there's definitely something to say about them. Like I have a grandmother who she's in good health now, but like oftentimes she will get sick because she has immune system problems and hepatitis.
Mhm.
And every time she gets sick, and it's a consistent thing, she gets quite suicidal, and it's something that the whole
Yeah,
family kind of has to be like aware of.
that's what I was
And
gonna say.
so like yeah, there might be times when she gets close to a really bad health condition, and then she's telling the doctor like I don't want to keep doing this, like I don't want to keep doing this. And then when she's healthy again, she's like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck I was like trying to say. And so we as the family members kind of have to be executors of like the interaction between her and the doctor. But yeah, trying to discern what someone really wants or what someone really means, that's also a hard thing.
Yeah,
Not an
I
easy
guess.
topic.
No, not at all. Sorry, I'm smiling.
No, I was laughing at your giggle.
Okay, that's good. But like,
Now we're all
yeah,
giggling.
that's what I'm saying, or what I was also going to say. Sorry, I don't have a dying grandma. My grandma's in good health, God bless. But mental state to decide whether you're going to live or die, you probably want to be healthy and in a good place to make that choice. So even if someone is dying and they want to die, it's like that will probably not be what they actually want. And even if they
But what if
beg
they're
you, even
never
if they're
gonna
in
get
so
better?
much pain, they probably don't actually want to die, like if they could get better.
What if they won't though? Are you still gonna hang on to that just because they're your family?
I
I,
wouldn't.
I'm all for assisted suicide. I think that's a very reasonable thing. I
Yeah.
think if you have the proper psychological evaluation, you have the doctor's check off on it, and you proper all like there are channels here in Canada where like we do have assisted suicide, and so like I'm completely a fan of that, and I'm not saying that's like off the table.
Mhm.
It's just the idea that like there's definitely I think an important screening process.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Lots of gray areas. Lots of different things to consider, definitely.
I think the gray area is good. I just think the idea that like you have to stop and ask questions before you just go ahead with it is maybe a good idea.
Well,
Definitely.
well,
I think that's something that
Yeah.
everyone could do more of, let's be honest. People are always assuming shit. Like we were talking about earlier, you just cut out the extra fat that you don't think is necessary, and it kind of makes you kind of an inconsiderate asshole, but it gets you where you need to go, and maybe there's something really human about that. Because, no matter what you choose or don't choose, we are who we are, and end of the day, humans have existed for a long time, and I don't think any of these habits are going to change anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't stand people who assume though.
Yeah.
That's a pet peeve of mine.
Assuming things.
If you don't have information, don't talk.
Or ask.
Personally,
Ask. What do you mean don't talk? Ask.
I mean
Start a
don't talk in a
conversation.
way like you know it. That's what I
Yes,
meant.
yes.
Not like don't talk in general, but gain that information.
If you don't
Like-
know everything, shut the fuck up. Don't even get on my brain knowledge right now.
Yeah. Don't be scared of saying I don't know.
Exactly. That the first step to like overcoming a problem is recognizing you have a problem, and if that problem is just you don't know everything, so be it. Yeah, accept
And
it.
Assuming
around.
can absolutely like destroy groups of people.
Yeah.
Like, I'll use an example of myself here.
Okay.
I used to be a friend with some girl, and every time we'd hang out in a group of friends, they all assumed we're in a relationship. That just constantly happened. They constantly bugged us about it
Mhm.
all the damn time, to a point where we'd just not even hang out in a group of friends just by ourselves, just because we're like, yo, this is annoying. Like, it does not stop.
Mhm.
So we just completely pulled out of that group just because they were all assuming shit, even though we said no, that's not the case. And I feel like assumptions can destroy so many things like that, like social groups, relationships, just even becoming a friend with somebody. If you're just assuming shit all the time, that's not gonna happen.
It's definitely not. I agree. So let that be a lesson to you. Ask some questions.
For
Stay
the audience
humble,
out there, yeah,
basically.
don't assume things.
There's a point where you just have to trust someone.
Mhm. And with
Ooh, yeah,
When someone
good.
says something.
Well,
What were you gonna say, Will?
No, I just think that's a good point. That's a good question. I want to talk about that next time.
Yes, all right. Will, you probably want to reset your webcam because it froze again. And everybody else,
Oh, it did.
This is the BoomitsPodcast. We will be live every second week. Is there anything you guys wanted to say to the viewers before we maybe close this one out? Because
I love you a lot, actually.
Me?
Please.
Please
just know I love you. Trust my love, okay? Don't assume I hate you.
Yes. Andrew looks a little scary, but he's a nice boy.
Please.
Nice lives. How about you, Will?
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for dropping by. Have a good night, a great evening, and we'll see you next time.
Booyah, baby! Don't cause too much mischief and mayhem, you magical mad lads. We'll fucking catch you on the next one. Deuces.
See you ladies and gents out there.
I'm probably gonna cut at that part.
Fall off your chair.
No, it was a thematic thing that I'm doing.
Oh.
Listen.
You never said anything about that. We could all have done that. But you just
I was gonna end the podcast when I jumped out of the chair.
You just like disappear and like, all right.
That's how I end like my live streams usually. So I
could just flip my chair backwards. I might be a little injured, but it would work.
Should we all do it?
I'm actually scared. I'm actually scared I would incur damage. I just want
to get like real double chinned up on this, you know.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. See how far we can go.